Hello! Welcome to vlog number 4. I am going to be completely honest with you guys. I actually wasn't planning on doing a vlog number 4. And today I was sitting in church and not gonna lie, I was bored. I was like reflecting, doing my own thing, thinking about life. I get super in my thoughts during church and I need to write it down. So today, while I was in church, I wrote on a napkin everything that was on my mind. Well, almost everything, because eventually we had to like stand and kneel and do all that church stuff. So I decided that I really wanted to talk about our stories, like how we all have our own stories. But the problem with owning our stories, like the concept that gets so hard to grasp, is that the way we tell our stories matters. And the way we tell our stories to ourselves matters even more. I'm one of those people who thinks about life as like everything happens for a reason.
Literally everything.
Everything from like what coffee shop I decide to go to the conversation I have with the grocery guy at the store. Everything just intertwines in some way, shape, or form. That contributes to our story. That contributes to who we are, who we become. Even the most minuscule thing has potential to come back up somehow. We have all these like little thoughts going on in our brains throughout the day. Like they are so minuscule, so instant, so like quick, and then they leave our brains just as fast. And it's kind of like, oh. But then sometimes later on in the day or a couple days later, we think about it again, or like something comes up and it's like, oh yeah, you remember that thought and you were like, you kind of put two and two together. What a coincidence. My friends, it's not, I mean, it's kind of a coincidence, but at the same time, it's not, because everything happens for a reason. You don't have to believe this, but that's just my philosophy. So kind of like where I want to go with this vlog today is to, in a way, convince you everything that you do has significance. And like how we tell our stories and kind of owning that significance is so gosh darn important. Too often I think we're desensitized to other people saying, my life is not interesting, I'm not that unique, I'm just an average Joe. I mean, like I can say the same thing about myself, you know, I'm just a college graduate who's
broke AF
and is trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life. So yeah, like I could say that I'm just your average Joe too. I also traveled while I was in college. I was very fortunate enough to go to Greece and Spain, and just this past summer I was in Italy, and I could tell you that it was really awesome. And yeah, that's, I mean, I'm not that interesting. Like my everyday life is just not, like that sounds so depressing when I say it like that. Or I could tell you that when I went to Greece, that was like the first line of independence that I've ever experienced. Also, I had my first kiss there. I can also tell you that Spain was the most life I've ever felt in my entire life, but it was also one of the most stressful trips I have ever been on. My whole point here is that the meaning that I give a story and the way that I tell you that story is what makes all of the difference. Basically, life is only as interesting as you make it. First and foremost, we don't really know how to give meaning to our stories. We don't really self-reflect. I think because we don't really practice this from a young age. When we grow up, we kind of become turtles. We just like go back into our shells and we don't necessarily come out and like put our hands on our hips and say, I am significant. Or like when we can start looking at things as working for us and not against us, that's when we start to really appreciate our lives and we start to really see how significant we are and how significant our stories are. Because we have more appreciation for their uniqueness and for how they have shaped us into who we are. Most of the time we're gonna come out with an attitude of gratitude. An attitude of gratitude. That's cool. So I do encourage self-reflecting and trying to find the reason behind why some things happen. But those reasons don't necessarily come up days after or weeks after. They can come up months or years down the line. Sometimes just being grateful that it happened in the first place is so important. I think another reason why we don't really know how to tell our stories with a lot of meaning is because we're on social media a lot comparing our lower selves to other people's highlight reels. And I'm probably going to speak about this a lot in my future vlogs, but social media is so powerful. Even as somebody who knows how much of an impact it has on our psyche, it messes with me all the time. I have my SoulCyb account and I'm very picky about who I follow on there. I follow different therapists, a lot of body positivity accounts, a lot of women who are feminists, all of these things that really just make me happy. But on the same token, I might think to myself, well, they're already doing such a great job, so I probably wouldn't be able to contribute that much. And that's not fair. This is where the change comes in, right? Seeing other people be role models for who we want to become means that we cannot just tell ourselves like, hey, those people, they're doing a great job, so I'm not gonna come in and like try to like trump that or even like meet at their same level because you know, they're already doing it. And that's, I mean, it's totally taking away from that feeling of self-significance and self-acceptance and self-confidence. When we're watching everybody else be super happy and only post about things that they love and that they're doing, yeah, it might be entertaining. Yeah, it might be fun to watch, but we're just more prone to feel like, oh, what I'm doing isn't that significant because there's people out there who are happier, who are doing more, who are setting more goals and achieving those goals. And I'm just kind of here scrolling, and that's not what it is. So that's another reason why I think that we lose sight of why we are significant ourselves. And that kind of brings me into the third reason why we don't really know how to give much meaning to our stories or how to tell our stories with meaning. Is because we're super critical of ourselves. We don't give ourselves credit for the things that we've accomplished. Being super self-critical is essential to make me challenge myself more. However, I think it's super important to be aware of how much we can actually take on, because if we're filling our plate with way too much stuff and we can't accomplish it all of those things on our plate are eventually gonna fall off, or we're at least gonna go crazy and feel awful about the job that we're doing. Because when we put too much on our plate, we can't give 100% to every single thing. So we have a pool that's 100%, that's our attention span. And we might have smaller pools inside that bigger pool, but each one only gets a certain percentage in order to fill up that 100%. So you might have 50% here and 25% here, 25% here. If you think about it, your brain might be able to give 50% to that one task at hand, but then only 25% of it can go to those other two tasks. Most of us want to feel like we're giving our all. We're giving everything that we've got into whatever project it is that we are trying to accomplish. If we're trying to add more into that pool, that's only gonna divide our attention up even more. More doesn't always necessarily mean better, and challenging ourselves doesn't mean putting more on our plate. The fourth reason why some people don't really know how to tell their stories with meaning is this intimidation of people who do know how to tell their stories like it matters. This kind of goes back into that whole comparison thing, like especially with social media, because we can see so many people highlighting what they're doing, what they're accomplishing, and while they're owning this, like, or at least it seems like they're owning it, it kind of makes us feel like, ooh, that's a lot. I don't really have that much to contribute to the conversation, so I'm just gonna like stay over here and let them do their thing. But that is why it is so important to know and to harness the idea that your story matters. I think it just takes practice with self-reflection and harnessing our stories and like building that confidence enough to know that we are significant, that what we do is significant, and that we do have an influence, and that the meaning that we give to our story is super important. And I think that it just takes time, but it's a work in progress. Give yourself that credit. The fifth and final reason is we're not actually doing the thing that we want to do. The thing that's gonna give us meaning or give us our purpose, the thing that like we're really freaking passionate about or interested in or just like wanna try, we don't actually go out and do it. We tell ourselves that we'd fail before we even give it a try. So this vlog series that I'm creating, I had these ideas in mind. I never actually did it because I always would convince myself, you're too busy, you're too young, you're too financially unstable, you don't have your degree yet. You know what? I was like, F that, I'm gonna give this a try. I'm going to see where it takes me. If it doesn't take me anywhere, boo-hoo, at least I did it. I feel like I'm going on a tangent. Point is, I'm doing the thing. That's all that matters. If you're doing the thing that you really want to do and you're giving it your all, what more could you want from that? You can just be proud of yourself for doing it, for giving it a try, and for learning something. It's a learning process. We're just gonna be learning together. I guess the big gist of this video is that I wanted you to really grasp that the decisions that you make and the adventures that you have and the memories and the opportunities that you take, every single thing, take advantage of that. Give it meaning. The things that you want to do in life, freaking do it, because life is too damn short. I hope that in this crazy world that we live in, this super distracting and can be kind of negative sometimes, you have the optimism in mind to know that you're allowed to choose and create the life that you want. You are allowed to say no or say yes. You decide the meaning that you give your story. Give your life. Anyway, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.